Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychuk with Queen Bee Creations, and I am popping in here on a Sunday, which is my one day off a week. The one day I'm not supposed to be here, because I uncovered more Christmas stash. Well, not stash, but things that I had stashed away for Christmas projects. So I need to get some of those done and out of the way, or I can't relax. I have to get started. So, couple of things that I'm going to do. I have these items. This I want painted black. So, thrifted this. Take off the thrift sticker. And this is going to serve as a form, but we're kind of in the silver tone. So I'm going to give it just a quick spray of silver. I'm going to try and cover it all, but just in case some of it shows through. You kind of get the idea. They're getting married together. So black spray paint, silver spray paint. And then for another project, all right, so this is from the dollar store, this little plaque. I happened to thrift. I wasn't looking. I wasn't looking for more Christmas. But I happened to thrift a baggie of items. You know how they hang the bags up on the walls? And I couldn't not get it because a project came to mind looking at it. And then, I don't know if you're like me, but if you happen to look at something and it immediately screams project, if you don't buy it to do that project, all you can think about is that project. So in to help facilitate some good sleep, I bought it. So you guys are going to live through that project now. Sorry. So all I'm going to do is I am going to take the dregs, the bottom of the barrel of a cream toned all-in-one paint. Now you could paint this with any paint that you want. I just don't want to have to seal it afterward, but I'm just going to give this a base of cream. So to start off with, we're just going to get things painted and drying so that I can carry on with things. While the paint is drying, I just wanted to get started on another little project. And for this one, I have an old thrifted wool blanket in green. This was gifted to me by my sister, and I've just cut a 6-inch strip. It's probably longer than I need, but I'd rather have a little bit more. And all that I am starting to do now is take my hot glue gun and glue it together. So in essence, it becomes a 3-inch strip, but we have a fold on this end, and that becomes an important part of what we need. And this gluing doesn't have to be exact. We actually aren't going to technically see that glued edge. So get that all glued together, and then we're ready for the next step. Now that this is all glued together, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start cutting from that folded edge. So as I cut in, and these are going to be the branches of my tree. So I want to cut through both thicknesses, and I want to stop before I get to that glued border because I want it to all hold in place as a long row. So nothing difficult, maybe a little time consuming, depending upon the size of your tree, but all we're doing is we're creating a big long row of loops for our little plaque. Now, this is all dry. Let me show you what I thrifted. So this is the bag, $3.49 less 20%. So that'd be maybe about $3.35, 70 cents off. So let's say just $2.50. What it had in here and why I gravitated toward it, look at the big deer head. Now I squished it to make sure it wasn't those fake rubber ones. And it's not, it has a base on it. So imagine that right there. Awesome. Awesome already. Look at how cute. But apart from a bow, that apart from a little zhuzhing is actually in good shape, a headband, I have no clue what the heck I would ever do with this, but you never know. So that goes into the to be saved pile, which means it's just stacked up on my desk with everything else. And then there is this beaded, wired little wreath. Awesome, because this was a whole project in a bag. We're gonna glue that onto my base. And then we're gonna glue that into the center. And then really, that is pretty much done. I mean, come on. So let me just start gluing. I don't know the right way to glue this. If I can kind of get them started and hold it and then start going around the rest of it. Maybe that's the best way to go. Because all the beads are pretty irregular in shape. And I just want to make sure that I kind of catch it. And this one's easy because we just put a whack of glue on the back of them. And I gotta tell you, I don't need all these wires coming out the back of this, but I do want it to stay tied. Because I'm gonna use the bow too. All right, let's zhuzh this up a little bit. I left a little bit of space at the top, just so that I could put the bow at the top. And look how cute he is. Okay, I just need to zhuzh the bow a little bit, but that's from a baggie. All right. I mean, seriously, how quick and easy was that one? All from one thrifted bag. Okay, this should be dry. Now, well, okay, I say that and then I can see wet spots, but it should be dry enough for me to use the rest of this. So we've just got that DIY on there just to be able to stain that base a little bit. And what I want to do now is I just want to take some extra pieces of that fabric and I just want to wind them around this base to create kind of this fat bottom. And why we're doing this is we're going to glue those loops in a spiraling pattern up the dowel. But if we have this fatter section down here, then those first loops are going to sit out over top of it and kind of splay out a little bit so that we get that wider base. And then the rest will kind of all lie over top, so it helps the rest. So now we are just going to start gluing our spirals. So it's just, and I'm going to start it at the top of here. So it definitely comes out. And then you just keep going, right? And I'm just going to hold it this way so I can attach the glue here and run it fairly tight. And you just go up far as your stick. Now I have a few extra little loops, so I figured that I'm just gonna go in and add them here and there, just sort of like you would hair extensions, or how I imagine hair extensions work, because I've always had short hair. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of glue and then add some of these sections in, and they're going, ow, in between the rows. So I'm just kind of tucking them down in between some of my existing loops and rows. And mostly I was thinking around the base where, you know, it could do with being a little bit fuller maybe. You can finish your tree off, obviously, in any way that you want. You can add, you know, strands of pip berries. You could glue in little baubles if you want to, little bells. I'm just gonna keep it simple, like a tree. And all I'm gonna do is add a star. Now what I do have are little birch bark stars from the dollar store this year. And I'm just going to kind of roughly glue them in place. I'm gonna do the bottoms of each and then the little top. So rather than having them sit, well, okay, could I have them sit right up on top? Yes. Or I could have them do this. But not you, because your point is breaking. There's another nice and straight looking one. Okay, you look kind of interesting. All right, yeah, I'm gonna do them a little bit lower just so that they kind of cover a little bit of where I finished off. So I'll do the bottom, and then I've got a little bit of glue up the top. And then there's our fabric tree. Now this was an idea of my sister's, actually. She did hers cutting each strip and doing like the rag tying idea with them. So she tied each strand on. She did a number of them, a bit of a forest, even in some cream ones, and had friends requesting them. They're super cute, and as you can see, super easy. Okay, these are dry, relatively dry enough to continue. And the only thing that I want to do is make the base tie in a little bit more with the topper. And so I'm going to take a little bit of silver gilding wax, and this just happens to be Annie Sloan's because that's what's open. And I'm just going to put some on my finger and run it around some of those edges. Just the top is going to have a bit of a silvery feel to it. And I just want the base to just roughly tie in a little bit, right? Okay, that's it. That's all it takes. And I'm just going to put this off to the side for now because we got to work on this part. Now, why I kind of wanted it silver is because the thrifted component, the other thrifted component, is this swag. And it's already got like silver balls and things on it. So I'm not fighting that. I'm staying in the scheme of it all. What I do have are some little pieces of wire. I'm going to wire this in place. Now this does have a light box. Just seeing, did I break it or does it just pop in and out? It just pops in. Okay, so it does have a light box. It is wired up with lights already. So I am going to want to have that piece. I'm going to start by wiring from there so that that can be sitting enough that I can maybe turn it on and tuck it up under this. I'm not going to be attaching this onto that base. It's just going to use that as a pedestal so that we can easily tuck this underneath, right? So that we're not going to see it. And I'm just going to wire this in place. So the nice thing about doing that is that it makes everything reusable. And not everybody, you know, some people, they like the tradition of having the same ornaments and decorations out every year. Some people like to switch them out every year. So, you know, if you're the person that you like to keep it all the same and, you know, you're making something like this, okay, you can just glue things down to the base, right? It's not going to matter. But for me in the shop, it makes things a little bit more flexible. So all that we're going to want to do is continue to wire these pieces onto the frame and spiral them upward. It's not quite dry, there's a little bit of tackiness, but spiral them upward. Now this hasn't been zhuzhed out at all, so I'm gonna do a little bit of that as I go so that I know where and how far I need to spiral, right? And then we'll be able to come back and kind of fix some of the components, make sure that they're all facing the right way and working for us. So nothing more difficult than that. Now this base, you know, I happen to have like this gold twig base, but you could wrap this around, you could wrap it around a cone. You could, I was debating, let me show you a couple of options. Okay, so here are other thrifted options. I had thrifted this little beehive cage that I was gonna maybe use instead, but it was shorter than I wanted. You could wrap it around this. Now this is ultimately supposed to go onto a wall like this to hold flowers, but look, awesome, awesome Christmas tree. This pedestal, you could attach onto this and use this as your entire pedestal base for the tree, wrapping it around in a circular fashion. That would also work. So don't think, oh my goodness, I have a swag, but I don't have that little stick cage. Anything that you have that's roughly the shape you need is going to work. Just look at it with different eyes and in different ways, right? To, you know, to use things outside of the norm, but that are gonna work for you. All right. I'm just kind of roughly looking at how low I need to go. Okay, I can go a little tighter, I think, on my leaf up there. All right, I'm just gonna keep wrapping and anchoring them in place with some wire, and then we'll be able to just zhuzh it out and then put it on our pedestal base, and it's done. And here's our finished tree. And this is just made out of a single swag. And I know that you can buy like those single swags at Michael's, and you know, sometimes you're looking kind of going, okay, it's not enough, or you bought them in the past and you know, one you've ended up using on other projects and torn apart. You know, don't overlook this. You could do an upside down vase underneath this. You know, anything that's kind of got a rough shape that's going to allow you to be able to just wrap it, tie it on, glue it on if you wanted it more permanent, and to be able to create a tabletop piece that's going to work for you. We've got our cute little woolen tree. I think that these would be great if you had multiple colors, you know, like my sister did with the beige. She just tied them. You could do that as the rag. I wanted to try loops, which I think is super cute too, but I love the tied look of these. And we left it pretty plain and pretty rustic looking. The other piece was purely made out of found objects. The only difference was the little plaque base was from the dollar store. But don't overlook just even the bags, and if they go together and you can just put them together for a cute, quick little project, how that might work. I hope this gives you some inspiration. These are just quick little projects. If you need a little something, you know, just on a little side table, little hallway table, I don't know, little gift. Hope you enjoyed. I had fun making them. This was a good find. They all were. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Until then, take care.